Hey, folks, welcome to Friendly Orbit, the podcast that draws us together no matter how far we fly. I'm Ceres, a true blue and fuzzy Homo sapiens, and I'm joined by.
About to have my entire childhood exposed. Thea.
Hey there!
Hey.
So, we're doing a kind of a series today.
Yeah, is this the second part that's going
This
to
is part two.
This is part two.
This is part two of
You
Nostalgia.
remember last week when we recorded Great Infinity Blade episode?
Oh, it was so good. My favorite part was when.
I loved when the Infinity Blade man said, I'm Infinity Blading, and
Yeah.
then he Infinity Bladed all over the castle.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But this week, we're doing kind of a secret part two to nostalgic video games from our childhood.
Yeah, it's my turn.
And it's your turn. So tell us about your game.
Yeah, so I wasn't joking about earlier. This, not Nausicaa series, is the piece of media that can kind of explain me as a whole. We're talking about Spore, an electronic arts video game originally designed to be the ultimate Sims game. It was supposed to be called Sims Everything, where instead of creating like a group of people or managing a city, we are managing the evolution of a life form from its humble beginnings as a microscopic organism in the water to a spacefaring civilization through 5 different stages of evolution and development. And I've been talking to you about this game for a while.
And you finally forced me to play it.
I forced you to play it. I didn't force you to
so
play
I
it.
finally overcame all my
Prejudice.
interior hurdles towards this game and developed and designed the most creative of species, Homo sapiens.
On planet Earth.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
So, Spore, you mentioned in the intro how Spore was made by EA, and it is actually made by Maxis, the developers of The Sims. And the fact that it used to be a Sims game, I think, is crucial to understanding how you should play this game and how you should interact with it, right? So, like The Sims, the game is pretty easy. And although it is possible to lose, that's not really the point. Right?
No. You can increase the difficulty to have a bigger challenge.
Yeah.
And I have played games in difficult mode. And yes, it's harder than playing them in easy mode as we played it.
Yeah. But how high is the risk of failure?
Well, that's the thing. You can fail ad infinitum in most of the phases and not suffer anything from it. But if you die in if you lose in tribe mode or civilization mode, you can very easily get stuck in a loop where you die and then you circle back to a situation that is strategically difficult to get out of. So you might actually get stuck in like a pretty difficult spot where you really need to try hard and figure out your optimal way out of there. So those are the situations where losing is possible. Otherwise, all that happens is that the creature that you're currently controlling dies, and then you just respawn.
Yeah. So I feel like generally speaking, the difficulty of the game is not really the point of the game.
No.
And it's a lot about customization.
Yes.
It's a lot about making your own personal single-celled organism, then later your own personal animal, then later. I mean, there's not much customization that happens in the tribe stage. You get to pick your outfits.
You get to pick their outfits.
But that's all you get to pick. And then, later on, when you eventually get to the space stage, which is kind of the real game, it's about customizing, your buildings and your spacecraft and your vehicles. I mean,
and
many
also
of those
giving your empire kind of a personality. Like, are you going to be a violent, brutal civilization? Are you going to be all about building ecosystems and expanding life and colonizing planets?
Yeah, there's kind of like an implicit, like, friendly, hostile, mixed track that you can play in this game. Like, there's hostile options of interacting with other creatures, and that'll progress your civilization to acquire hostile traits. There's friendly trait. There's friendly ways to interact with other civilizations, other creatures at every stage. Those will give you friendly traits, and there's always kind of a mixed trait that you can get at the end of a stage if you somewhere fall in between. So it's also about customizing how your sims act, basically.
Yeah.
Like choosing, oh, is this a good sim? Is this a bad sim? Is this a sim that's somewhere in between, right? But you're doing it on the civilization scale. So, if you've played The Sims before, you know that the fun doesn't really come from the challenge most of the time. The fun comes from telling a little story to yourself with your playthings that you get to customize and interact with. And that a lot of the fun comes from the developers considering a lot of interactions ahead of time, right? So it's like in The Sims, right? Like, there's all sorts of different ways that you can interact with other sims and with the environment around you and interesting things you can do, right? And some of the options are maybe not hidden but unintuitive at first. Like, oh my gosh, you can woohoo in this bush. Isn't that funny? Isn't that interesting? That's not something you'd expect. You get to so a lot of it is like that, is that there's a broad interface of interacting with the environment around you in unique and fun ways that you get to explore, but it's not really about it being difficult, right?
No. There's a couple of things that I really like about this game that I want to bring up. One of them is every stage has its own game play loop, has its own rules.
Is its own mini game.
Is its own mini game, yeah. But at the same time, there's clearly a through line, a designed through line, which helps you keep track of things. Like the way that the interface looks like in creature mode, how you socialize with other animals or attack them reflects how then in tribal mode you have weapons and instruments to interact with other tribes. And then when you move from tribal mode to civilization mode, we abandon that part of the interface. But now the way that you control your vehicles and move around the map is the equivalent as how you used to control individual creatures in tribal mode and move them around the map.
Yeah.
So
So
there
let's,
is
let's
this
talk about
continuum.
what the different stages are of the game.
Yeah. First stage is cell mode. It's basically a 2D almost arcade-like game where there's a bird's eye view, and you are a little floating swimming organism in a sea of swimming organisms, and you mainly progress through eating.
Yeah, there's meat resources and there's plant resources, and you can choose which ones to eat, and there's different ways to access them. There's some amount just floating around in the ocean around you, but you can also attack other animals to get meat resources from them, and you can find big plant I don't know, like algae clumps, and you can eat them or gnaw on the tender bits of them to get access to plant resources.
Yep.
I really enjoyed this stage of the game. I thought it was fun. It's kind of like one of those arcade games where every time you eat something, you get bigger, right? And so you keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But also every time you eat something, you get DNA points, and then you can spend your DNA points for fun little customizations of your character. Like you can give them a new plant eating mouth. So now you can eat, meat and plants, for example, right? Or you can give them defensive mechanisms like spikes or electroshockers or
Poison sprays.
You can give yourself a flagellum to move faster, but you can also give yourself these little
fins,
jets.
Oh, the jets. Yeah,
that kind of make you go even faster, and you can have these little frog fins that let you turn more dynamically, right? So it's really fun that you kind of get to customize your own single-celled organism. You can create if you know your bacteria, you can create a really long bacillus, or you could even create a spiral one, if you wanted to, or you can stick to sort of the more compact round form, right? And you can customize what kind of eyes your single-celled organism has.
It's not really single-celled organisms.
Yeah,
The biologically inclined amongst you will argue that eyes should not belong in a single-celled organism.
Yeah, I think it's just they're not sweating it, right? It's supposed to feel similar to. It's supposed to give you an echo, a sense of what a single-celled organism would be like. But single-celled organisms, in and of themselves, can't be an eye or can't have eyes, right? And of course, they also can't emit electric shocks, right? what a single-celled organism would actually do is it would have like a chemical sensing mechanism, right? Or a mechanical sensing mechanism for when it bumps into something. And it probably wouldn't release electricity. It would release some kind of toxin or some kind of other agent,
Yeah.
right?
At the end
But
of
none
and
of
the
that is nicely visualizable in a video game, right? And so this game is very aware that it's a fun, jokey video game about the progression and not a faithful, it rhymes with evolution maybe to some degree, right? But it's not really like this
yeah,
evolutionary stewardship.
absolutely. And like the cell stage ends with you crawling out of the water and like settling the land. I mean, really, it's the fish stage,
Yeah.
but that's not as fun.
Yeah. And fish don't eat flagella, and flagella are fun to put on your little dude. So yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. There are one of the things I noticed about the game is I think it also gets more fun the more you play it. Right, like there's a lot of like little pieces of advice that you gave me that I didn't know. So like your single celled organism needs to be bilaterally symmetrical. So kind of like every animal on Earth, or almost every animal on Earth, like there's sort of a left half and the right half if you're looking at it from above, and they both are kind of perfectly symmetrical. It's the same thing here. So you can't just you know, unless you're putting it on the head or the tail, like everything you put on the left side has to be on the right
Yeah.
side as well as of your organism. So there's like constraints there, but also things like, oh yeah, having two mouths costs the same as one mouth,
Yeah.
right? Or I didn't know that at first. Or like one flagellum will make you swim faster. Two flagella will not affect your swim speed any further. You get the one flagellum bonus, right?
Yeah.
Like generally speaking, most of the mechanisms don't. The more like you want to have one of every body part. You're
Mhm.
incentivized by the game mechanics to have one of every body part, not multiple of one body part, because that multiple of one body part won't do anything unless maybe it spikes. It'll protect you from more angles, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in cell stage, actually, it does help having multiple body parts. Also, flagella. If you have
Hmm.
multiple flagella, you do get
Oh, okay.
faster. It's in creature mode that
Yeah.
that
Okay, so then at the
constraint shows
next
up.
stage, that stops mattering. But it's okay. So that's cell
Yeah,
stage.
one of the fun parts of cell stage is that like your shape matters and like where you place the body parts matters. It's something that gets lost in later parts of the game because otherwise the complexity will skyrocket
Yeah.
and the fun would be overtaken by like the five feasible builds.
Yeah. And so it's like I had at one stage on my Homo sapiens single-celled organism, I had like herbivore mouths that I had bought, but I kind of put them on the wrong side. I didn't put them on the head. They were sort of behind the head. So it's
Yeah,
actually quite difficult for me
maneuvering was really
to
hard.
maneuver and eat with them. So then what you do in the game is you can just do a mating call as a single celled organism. You can hit a little button that does a mating call,
Lay
and
an egg as a single cell
yeah,
organism.
then another of you will show up, and you click on it, right? And you guys lay an egg, and then you get to customize. You can spend your DNA points, and you get to switch around your build again, right? So you can just adjust stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. And then after that, you move into the creature stage,
Yeah,
right?
you crawl out of the water.
You crawl out of the water, you go on land, you're given a whole bunch of DNA points and a whole bunch of new body parts that you've unlocked, like legs and arms and
Yeah. In creature stage, creature stage is where like the maximum customizability
mm,
of the game, like that's where the game peaks in terms of customizability.
mm,
Later down the road, you can build buildings and tanks, but like those things are like going to be like small, and you're not going to control them. In creature mode, it's fun because you build your animal, you have so much customization, and then you actually control the animal, and so you spend so much time up close with your creation,
yeah.
and
And like
so
where you place the wings on your animals matters based on like where their lift is generating from and your center of gravity, right? And like what parts you have on your animal matter a lot. Like they alter what attacks you can do, and you kind of want to have.
and how you can socialize because you can also socialize with other creatures.
Yeah. So basically, in creature mode, this is where you start to have. I mean, already in single cell mode, right? If you eat meat, it puts you on the aggressive side, like the predatory side. And if you eat plants, it puts you on the herbivore
Yeah.
side. And if you land in the middle, you're an omnivore.
In cell, it's about herbivore, omnivore, and carnivore. In creature mode, it's about like predator, adaptable, and social, which is a type of animal that like
Doesn't really exist in
I
real
mean
life.
it
But so you basically have a menu where you can select friendly ways of interacting with other creatures. So you can click on another creature with the friendly menu, and then they will basically do one of like 4 or 5 different things to interact with you. They might charm you, they might pose in front of you, they might sing, they might dance, right? And then you are supposed to respond in kind. You're supposed to mimic them and do the same things. And if your features have similar higher level, then
Do you befriend them?
you befriend them and they become an ally to you. It's also affected by how many of them there are and how many of you there are. So if like you have a bunch of allies with you, you'll be better at charming other animals. And if they have a bunch of allies with them, they'll be better at charming you.
Yeah.
And so how do you dance? How do you charm? Well, those features, those abilities are unlocked by the body parts. So, if you equip dancing feet, like literally feet that are good at dancing, then you'll have a high level dance ability, right? Whereas if you instead put on feet that just make you faster, you might be a better predator, right? So it's your choice because the hostile menu to interact with other animals. Um, this is where you use all the attacks that your body parts can give you. So your body parts can give you the ability to charge. Like if you have a spike on your animal, you can charge, right?
Mhm.
And the better the spike is, the higher level the charge ability is, so the more damage it does. And if you have like claws, then you can swipe at an enemy, right? If you have a poison sac, you can shoot poison at them.
At range, yeah, the ability to shoot poison at range is really cool. You didn't use it a lot, but like, we didn't get into. I didn't like creature mode has a lot to offer.
Mm.
I didn't tell you everything that you could do just because like we didn't have the time and we had to go through it, and you were already having fun, it seemed. But like, for example, there's megafauna. There's these giant creatures called epic creatures where the game just samples a creature from its library and then like gives it 1,000 HP, makes it huge, and gives it basically like an infinite % damage bonus. So it's like single hit, it always kills you. And there's actually the achievement where you can take down a megafauna as an animal. And like the cheat code is knowing that the megafauna will not like is much less likely to attack you if you're in your nest. So you hit it with poison spray and then you run and you stay in your nest and then you keep spamming poison spray. And even if it kills you, you just be reborn here on your nest. Creatures over there keep spamming attacks.
Yeah.
Eventually,
You're
you take it
deathless.
down.
You're
You're
deathless.
deathless.
Just like Infinity Blade.
Yeah, that's one thing that you actually said, that you're reborn as the child of your older generation.
But yeah, so the
Spaceships can show up. That's another fun bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is also something I wanted to remark on later, is that each of the stages is well integrated with the other. The planet always looks the same, the graphics are always the same, and like the same animals that you interact with in creature stage stick around and can become your pets or can just become wild animals. They can adapt and also change over time. But like in space mode, you'll be visiting planets in a spaceship and they pay attention to that. So that in creature mode, there's spaceships visiting your planet, right? You can see where you will eventually be, in those spaceships, right? And they abduct animals just like how you do later when you're in, and you don't understand it. If you're in creature mode and you see a spaceship come by and abduct an animal, you don't understand why they're abducting the animal. Later, when you're in space mode, you know why you're abducting animals because you need to do it to progress yourself, right?
Yeah, there's
a huge sense of continuity because there's always this friendly hostile menu that starts in creature mode will be in every later stage, will be in every later mode. There will be a friendly and hostile way to interact with everything. And so that's a continuous through thread. This categorizing you into sort of aggressive, cooperative, or something in between, that will be at every later stage of the game. That adds to the cohesiveness. The fact that the world always looks the same and that animals and life is important at every single stage gives it a sense of cohesiveness. So there's like, even though it's 5 separate mini games, they do a lot of work to keep it all within the same sort of. You can tell in space mode that you are looking at the same planet and interacting with the same 3D map you were interacting with this creature mode, right?
Yeah.
You can tell that you're just at a different perspective, that your camera's further away and that your little guy's not a creature anymore, your little guy's now a spaceship, right? But like, so they do a lot to sort of create this cohesiveness.
Yeah, like the city
between
planner and the
stages.
colony planner between civilization and space mode is the same.
Yeah, are the same, are identical.
And yeah, one fun detail is, I mean, spaceships can visit you. I've never been visited by a spaceship in civilization stage, but I have been visited by spaceships in tribal
Yeah.
stage, and like they stole my pets.
Yeah.
Also, when you're in space stage, you can visit other planets, and other planets will be at different levels of development. You can find tribal planets. You can find civilizations
that look like your tribe stage.
look like your tribe stage, and you can mess with them.
And the core resource of civilization stage is also the core resource in space stage. So it's fun. And it's like these
And what is it?
It's these geysers of spice. They call it spice, like Dune. And these geysers are there even in creature stage. Like, they don't just suddenly appear when you enter civilization stage. Even in creature stage and in tribe stage, you see these geysers like shooting red off into the distance, and you always wonder like, what is that geyser, right? What is the point of that? And it's like, well, you find out later, right? You find out this is actually a core resource to run your civilization on.
One of the most fun things to do with the geysers in creature mode, if you have good wings, you go on the geyser, it shoots you up into the air, and then you can just like see things from so far above, and then you just kind of slowly glide.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
So that's creature stage, right? Creature stage, you basically can click on a creature, and in the cooperative menu, you can dazzle them with your different performance skills to persuade them to be your ally. And in the hostile menu, you can attack them and kill them, basically. You know, and for every tribe of animal, or for every nest of animals, like each nest spawns one type of animal, and for each nest of animals that you either kill them all or you impress them all, each one sort of progresses you through the stage.
Yeah, in creature mode, you become smarter and smarter, and as the kind of progression that you're doing, and the visual, not visual, sorry, the game mechanic that gets introduced here is kind of the idea that you have a pack. The smarter you get, the more creature you can add to your pack, and you can add your own creatures to the pack, or you can add creatures that you've previously impressed.
Yeah.
So you can form this kind of like symbiotic swarm of different animals, and that's very good, especially when these other creatures have abilities that you don't have. Like, I managed to impress these chimps. They have a better pose than I do, but I impressed them with my awesome dancing. Well, now I add them, so I can impress people better because I can leverage their better posing abilities for myself.
Yeah, it's creature mode is interesting. I felt, to me, towards the end, it got kind of tedious, and I didn't have nearly as much of the game loop of like leaving the nest, impressing a few people, bringing them back to the nest. Then, because I hit a wall where I can't impress people anymore, and now it's time to convert my DNA points into upgrading my creature. Instead, for me, it was just kind of a one long trek because it wasn't that difficult to impress or murder all the people around me. And so I only changed the setup of my creature like once or twice, and I ended the stage with all this DNA points left over, which then don't really matter in tribe mode at all. So,
But kind of funnily enough, they do matter in space stage when you get beamed down, and it's like you're back with your like level 2 poison spit. You're like, I wish I had a better poison spit.
Yeah, I mean that's for the expansion.
That's for the expansion. Yeah, I didn't think of that when they made the base game.
Yeah. So that is creature stage, and if you persuade enough or exterminate enough other, you become the predominant species on your planet, and that allows you to progress into tribe stage. So in tribe stage, you're still actually fighting other creatures, like species that are not you, which is interesting because, of course, in human history, that's not how that happened. But they are also sentient, right? So you have a little tribe, and it becomes a little base manager. You know, your tribe grows the more food that you have, and then every time you conquer or impress a nearby tribe, again, that's like the hostile and friendly way to interact with them. Your city hall gets bigger, and you can store more food, and you can acquire more tribe members, and you can build more sophisticated buildings. And the more sophisticated buildings, they essentially allow you to assign roles to your tribe members. So you can assign your tribe members the role of spear thrower or stone axe wielder or healer or gatherer, right? And then
Also, it's one thing that I noticed that I never made that that connection, but like creature mode with the expanding pack trains you to kind of like have the idea that you have like the little list on the right of creatures you're controlling.
Yeah.
And then in tribe mode, that's how you keep track of all your tribe members.
And in civilization mode, that same interface is how you interact with your vehicles.
And then in space mode, we go back to like, this is your fleet.
Yeah. In tribe mode, like there's like 5 different tribes of different colors, and you have to persuade or annihilate each of them, right? You have to like ally or annihilate each of them. One thing I thought was interesting in tribe mode is if you hunt in tribe mode, like if you kill other animals in tribe mode and eat them, like not the sentient ones, I mean like actual genuine animals around you that are like non-sentient, you get hostile points.
Yeah,
and if you gather food, you get social points.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like I thought
that was interesting. I was like, why am I so low? Like why? Because I was trying to take the middle route. at every stage with my Homo sapiens.
But you kept fighting with these fucking chimpanzees that kept spawning next to you.
And I was like, why am I so low? And I looked, and it was like because of the hunting. The hunting actually reduces or like puts you more on the aggressive side of the spectrum, which I think is interesting. But yeah, and then once you've progressed through tribe mode, then you go to civilization mode.
Yeah, civilization mode is still like real-time strategy. But now we have cities and we have vehicles. We get to customize them. There's 3 ways of interacting with one another. Religious, which is the kind of like the evolution of like the nice, positive, good route, which is interesting. Then there is economic, which is the middle ground. And then there is military, which is the aggressive route. And that's interesting because I would almost swap out religious and economic, because economic is the like straightforward, like mutually beneficial method of like proceeding, of like relating to other civilizations, that is completely non-violent. And religious is pretty violent in civilization mode. Basically what your vehicles are doing, instead of shooting rockets, they shoot these like light beams that are supposed to like represent religious fervor and conversion. And like you're not destroying the other people's vehicles, but you are like shutting them down.
Yeah.
Like what you do is you shut down other people's vehicles, you shut down their turrets, and eventually you convert their cities by projecting a giant hologram of your creature that starts proselytizing and like speaking like mumbo jumbo that sounds like it's proselytizing. And that's interesting. You were economic, so how does that work?
Yeah, so for me, it was a little bit odd because you start by default as an economic.
Well, you did start by default by economic. You don't start by default by economic in general.
And nobody in my map spawned in as religious.
Yeah, that sucks.
So I couldn't take the religious route because like the way that you switch tracks from the track that you spawn in as is by conquering or acquiring a city that is of the different track than you and keeping it as it is, right? So like if you conquer a military city, you have the option. For me, I started out economic. So whenever I bought a military city, it gave me the option to retain it as a military city, which unlocks the ability to interact with other cultures in a militaristic way. But there were no religious players that like none of the tribes or none of the civilizations that spawned in on my map were religious. And so I couldn't explore the religious route at all.
Yeah, that really sucked. I just to be clear, you don't like completely switch tracks. Like if you had adopted the military city, you wouldn't have turned into a military civilization. Just that city would have produced military vehicles, so you would have designed your military vehicles, and then you could have interact partially militarily and partially economic.
Yeah.
So you just become more multifaceted. You don't switch tracks entirely.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I could spend all my focus, right, on the military track, right? Like, I
you
can
can
pursue the
play it
military track if I
entirely.
want.
Yeah.
Because then I can also start buying more and conquering more military cities, right?
Yeah, the one limit, I don't know if you ever hit it, but there's a limit to the amount of vehicles you can have, and each city can spawn only a certain amount of vehicle proportional to the amount of houses that you have in there.
I always set highly on vehicles, so I was hitting the limit often. And then, like, whenever I unlocked a new technology, I would disband the old vehicles. So, like, you start with only land vehicles. Eventually, you develop sea vehicles. Eventually, you develop air vehicles. I would continuously, so I built up a fleet of land vehicles. And then once I developed sea vehicles, I kind of disbanded 80% of my land vehicles and used that money to buy a bunch of sea vehicles, right? And then at that point, I pretty quickly figured out air vehicles. So then I disbanded all my sea vehicles and I built a bunch of air vehicles. So I was very focused on the vehicles because they seem to me to be the main way you win because I want to generate a bunch of trade, right? Like the only way, so I was on the industrious or the financial path, right? And so this path is basically the way you interact with another city is you can click on another city and you can send them a gift. You can interact with them diplomatically and like pay them a compliment or basically insult them. You can offer to buy the city, but in order to buy the city, you need to have done a lot of trade with them. And in order to trade with them, you need to propose a trade route. So those are your 4 options, right? Basically, propose a trade route, then commit to trade, then eventually buy the city, right? With 2 diplomatic options, either compliments or money, trying to sway them to have a positive relationship with you. And so that's for me, like at this point, Thea wasn't there. Thea wasn't in the room. As I was playing this stage, Thea had a meeting to go to. So for me, I was just like looking at the interface and I was like, okay, clearly this is the only way to win is by buying everybody else's cities. So that's what I was doing. I would look for cities in my first thing I did was claim the core resource of this stage, which is spice. There's these spice geysers that shoot spice up in the air. So in the early part of the game, I knew that spice was going to be important. So I claimed all the spice on my continent. Then I started to just vigorously send money and gifts and compliments to the cities near me on my continent, and started sending like a whole ton of land vehicles to them to generate trade. And from that excess surplus of money that I was generating off of the trade and controlling all the spice, I would then buy the cities around me one by one. I just
Yeah.
kind of repeated this process until about 80% of the world's cities belonged to me because I had purchased them. And at that point, whatever the minority faction is that is left tends to surrender to you. So they were like, oh, let's just join up together. And I was like, I mean, you can't reject the offer. You just click OK. And then the stage ends.
Yeah. A couple of words on civilization stage.
Mhm.
First, it's interesting having no military vehicles. And I think commerce-based cities get fewer slots for defensive turrets. You're in a very dire situation if one of the other civilizations whose military decides to wage war on you.
Yeah.
And like the way that the loop that you're supposed to kind of like game the loop, because in economic mode you have all this excess money and you're supposed to in general have good relations with other civilizations.
Yeah.
You're basically supposed to I mean, you either can pay a big lump sum of money to the people declaring war on you to basically like prevent them from waging war, or you can pay off other civilizations with smaller lump sums of money to attack the civilization that is attacking you.
Yeah, so I don't know how much my strategy really affected things because I was playing in easy mode, but my strategy was essentially to stay away from any military conflicts, and to not do trade with cities that were involved in a military conflict, and just wait for a military hegemon to develop, which in my case was the Green Nation.
Mhm.
And then I just clicked on the Green Nation and I started sending them a bunch of money and compliments. And then eventually they let me start buying their cities. And then
Yeah.
that was pretty much it. So it's kind of like I took over my continent and the adjoining areas financially. The Green Nation took the rest of the world. And then I just started buying cities from the Green Nation until they were small enough that they just joined me willingly.
We haven't really talked about the hereditary abilities, or I don't know how they're called in English actually.
Hmm.
They're in Italian in the original version of
Probably
the
like
game.
inherited traits, right?
Inherited traits, yeah. Maybe by this point we can talk about them.
Sure. So
Uh,
every stage that you complete, depending on if you end the stage as good, evil, or something in between, you get a trait. So like if you end as a meat eater on the cell stage, that'll give you a specific trait in the next stage,
mhm.
right? And if you end as an omnivore in the cell stage, that'll give you a specific different trait in the next stage. And if you end as an herbivore, you'll get a specific different third unique trait in the creature stage. And then based on your behavior in the creature stage, you will also inherit a trait, but the cell stage trait sticks with you.
Yeah.
So in the tribe stage, you now have two abilities that you've inherited, right?
Mhm.
And in the cell stage, you've got three abilities that you've inherited based on your behavior in the cell stage, the creature stage, and the tribe stage before you. And then in the space stage, it reduces down again. It only becomes relevant what you did on the civilization,
No,
but the ability you get is more powerful.
no, 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 no. Space Age actually kind of makes a summary.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly how. I don't know the exact math of it, but there's like 9 or 12 different things you can be in space stage based on how you've behaved previously. So, for example, in most of my games,
Hmm.
I go like I walk the middle path as a cell and as an animal. Then in tribe mode, I kind of like switch to aggressive. So in the civilization stage, I'm a military civilization. So I have this balance between like the middle route and the aggressive route, the neutral and aggressive, and that scientist. And that's when you get like and that's when your inherited abilities like the gravity bomb
Mm.
that destroys all buildings
Yeah,
on the
my
planet.
inherited ability at this point. So my Homo sapiens at this point had been perfected in its dragon centaur cyclops glory with big old monkey lips and a big lidded eye.
Don't forget elephant because of the tusk.
Yeah, and we had a tusk coming out of well, not anymore actually. By
No?
the end, I switched the tusk to go to the sides of the mouth
Oh,
to show progression.
it's an
Um,
Atavic.
yeah. I still have my electroshockers on the top of my head, which don't
Yes.
do anything past cell stage, but I thought they were cute and a lot of fun. And I had basically gone the omnivore path at every single turn. I had actually wanted in Civilization stage to start deviating from only doing the omnivore path, but I couldn't figure out how to because I knew I didn't want to do the military path. I knew I wanted to do the religious path, but I couldn't figure out how to do the religious path because
You were bound by the RNG.
no religions spawned into my map. But so I entered space stage with a fully like neutral at every stage, but all four stages beforehand, I had been neutral. So in space stage, my ability was that when I make contact with when I make contact with a foreign solar system, you can initiate trade routes with them. Then you can start trading with them, and then you can purchase them, much the way the cities work in Civilization stage. And my ability basically shortened that time window. Then it shortened the amount of trade you need to do with them with that before you're allowed to purchase them. But still, then you still need to front the money to purchase them. You don't. It doesn't let you buy them for free or anything like that.
The in Civilization stage you get 3 inherited traits
Mm-hmm.
as abilities that like they each reflect cell, creature, and tribe.
Yeah.
And then you get a 4th one that is unique to what you are right now. So you get a military one if you're a military civilization, a religious one, and the 4th one costs a bunch of money. All of these traits cost money. You actually have to pay for them, unlike the previous stages. And the interesting thing is that the final one is kind of like if you have this amount of money, if you made it and you have like this amount of cities, because they also unlock, you need a certain amount of cities to unlock them. The final one is always like just win. Civilization stage feels very like front heavy as a stage, as in like the fun is in the first half.
Yeah.
Then you get to bask in your overpoweredness in the first half of the second half. And then the second half becomes dull. And so there's all these kind of like methods, rubber band mechanics are just like you just win.
No, those aren't rubber banding mechanics.
Sorry, not rubber band mechanics. They're just like fast forwarding mechanics. They're just like you made it this far, you're good.
Yeah, that's all in Civilization stage. And so after Civilization stage, you progress to Space stage,
The real game.
which is kind of the most of the game actually is in Space stage. So Space stage and that's interesting, I think, because a lot of the game feels like a prequel to the civilization that you then guide in Space stage. So most of the game's fun actually is basically being a spacefaring civilization that has a history that you know because you played through it, right? And so, like, most of the first 4 mini games are quite short. Space Stage is actually quite long. Space Stage is like a real whole game onto itself.
The map is huge.
In many ways, it's kind of like older, or it's kind of like other space games that came out at this time or later are still popular now. Even like Galaxy on Fire was a mobile game where you're a space captain exploring space, buying technologies, accomplishing missions.
Also, what's that space exploration game that was like a big game, but then it was a dud when it released, but now it's cool again?
Yeah, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah. So it's like very much in the vein of that, right? You control a singular spaceship, but this spaceship represents your entire culture, and it's your job to make a bunch of money for your empire, to buy as many planets as you want, to explore as much as you want, to build alliances or to conquer people, right? Whatever you really want to do, but it's your job to sort of guide your civilization through your one ship. And you're flying from planet to planet, looking at the funny animals that exist on each of them, harvesting spice, building colonies, terraforming planets.
Harvesting and transferring animals and life, seeding life on new planets, terraforming them.
Yeah, because basically, one of the core interesting loops of Space Stage is okay, so it's spice. So spice comes in different colors and is valuable depending on what color it has. There is a lot of trading in this stage, so it's also very much the case that certain systems and certain planets will pay more for a good because they have a local shortage or stuff like that. But still, generally speaking, there are colors of spice that are just universally rarer.
They're rarer.
So like the best spice is like pink, I guess, and purple or whatever.
I think pink is better than purple. Yeah, I think it's red, yellow, blue, green, purple, and pink.
Yeah, so those are the colors of spice in ascending order of rarity and value.
Which always weirded me out because if you switch a green and blue, then the scale is perfect. But from my observations, blue is always rarer and less valuable than green.
Yeah.
So why?
Yeah. No, I mean, you mean blue is always more common and less valuable than green.
Yes, yeah. That's what I said. Blue
No,
is less valuable than green.
you said it's always rarer
Oh, sorry.
and more valuable than
No,
green.
no, no, no. It's the other way around. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. The spectrum is just fucked up that way.
Yeah. But basically one of the things that the game does is that common spice appears on planets that are very habitable, and much more uncommon
Also,
spice
just more frequently in general.
appears on planets that are less habitable. So one of the core loops of the game is picking a planet that has a source of spice that you like, making it habitable through terraforming, making the terraforming changes you've made to the planet permanent by introducing life and plants. This, for some reason, mechanically seals the deal on any changes you've made to terraforming the
I
planet.
mean, it
The
is kind
idea
of
being that
reflective. I mean,
that
it is
the
reflective.
environment it sort of implies the ecosystem cements the changes in like geology of the planet.
Yeah, it's reflective of processes of how life has affected the geology and like the atmosphere of our planet. The whole thing with like one of the reasons we think that Mars
Mhm.
is used to host life, other than the very recent evidence that you maybe in the future know is bullshit or the greatest discovery ever, but is that the surface of the planet is completely oxidized. And people are like, how did all this oxygen even make it? Oxygen is a very reactive species. How did
Mhm.
all this oxygen even exist on the Martian surface? And one of the ways it could work is that there used to be life that stabilized an oxygen rich atmosphere. Then life died out, and then all the oxygen slowly was depleted.
Yeah.
Life has had a similar effects on in many ways on Earth of stabilizing the environment, of making it less like uh un less extreme,
Mm.
roughly. That's usually because
Yeah, so
there's a balance.
you basically the gameplay loop is find a planet that has spice that you want, terraform it to be more habitable, secure the terraforming changes by introducing plant and animal species to it, and then the more habitable the planet is, the more colonies you can build on it, which means the more spice you can extract, right? And so you can slowly turn this planet that has a lot of resources but is very inhospitable to a very hospitable planet where you can plant a bunch of colonies, and then every time you fly by, you get a whole bunch of spice from your colony, and then you can sell that to earn money and get cool space gear, right? So, uh, there's like, I kind of cheese the system slightly. There's a mission that teaches you about terraforming early on, and if you don't terraform the right planet, and you expend all the terraforming equipment
On other planets
on other planets, then they will resell you 4 pieces of terraforming equipment
for nothing,
that normally cost like 100,000 spore bucks
a piece.
a piece. They sell you all 4 as a bundle for 1,000 spore bucks. So it's a huge cost reduction. So I kind of realized that. I kind of realized that I could intentionally not complete this quest and keep completing it incorrectly, and terraformed my spice haven very close to Earth. Um, that was producing like 70 green spice an hour, and I could sell the green spice on Earth for like 40,000 spore bucks per spice, which is a lot. And I could quickly progress through the game.
Also, it's funny, the more of the spice you sold to the same planet, over time the price got lower.
Yeah,
So
and then I stopped selling for them for a while, and the price rebounded really quickly.
yeah.
That was fun, yeah. But that was the very economic aspect that I was exploring. You can also like form alliances and like do military stuff. I didn't really experience that.
No, I fun fact, after Ceres played this game, I sat down yesterday a bit taken by the nostalgia and replayed Space Stage by myself. And I did a lot of what Ceres just talked about, but also I did more of the military and war things. So yeah, you can form alliances. You have to Other empires will expand side by side with yours. They will go to war with one another. So it's hard. I actually pulled it off because I was printing infinite money, but you actually have, and so I was using donations
Mhm.
to keep everyone my friend, but they would get upset if you're like friends of their enemies, and they will ask you to come help them when your other ally is attacking them, and
Yeah.
they'll be upset if you never show up to help them. So yeah, there is that. You can integrate other ships in your fleet.
Mhm.
The way that progression in this game works is that because this this stage has so many things to offer. Every time that you you progress in one of the, let's call them, branches of the game, you'll gain medals because you're like a space captain. And every X medals, you get like a promotion, you get a new title, and as you do, you gain spaceship slots in your fleet, and they can help you. Usually in
And they
combat,
also unlock new technologies.
they unlock
So
new
once I had done
technologies.
enough trading, I could buy a larger cargo hold, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Economy, one thing that you can do is kind of like seeding the universe with intelligent life.
Mm-hmm.
You can drop like 2001 A Space Odyssey style monoliths
Mm-hmm.
on like planets in like tribal mode
Mm-hmm.
to uplift them, or like civilization stage to uplift them again to turn them into spacefaring civilizations. That's fun. And then, of course, there's a military angle, which, because of the way our culture works, is like fleshed out and fun. We have all these different weapons. You have bombs, impulses, automatic guns, shields, and you can have consumables like they call them like antimatter missiles
Mm-hmm.
and antimatter bombs, which are they're atomic bombs. Like you can just like wipe a city off a map with one of those. You have planet destroyers.
Yeah, it seemed to me, I bought with some of my money ship-based reusable terraforming tools.
Mm-hmm.
Those feel to me like the most devastating weapons in this kind of setting, right? Like if somebody could just come to your highly advanced space planet and change the climate so it's completely uninhabitable, right?
Yeah, that's a very fun thing to do. I think that's the type of stuff that you do when you're far enough in the game
Mm-hmm.
that you can just like y- use money to
Mm-hmm.
purchase these as weapons, and also where you don't care about destroying the climate of a planet
Mm-hmm.
because there's a price.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you arrive on a nice planet with a nice ecosystem, and like you want to conquer it without destroying the cities. You can conquer cities with planets without destroying the cities. Basically, you bomb them long enough, and then the city will like raise a white flag. You're like, you're good. Every city raises a white flag. You conquer the planet. You get it all. Also, one thing you might remember is
Each planet has like 3 cities at most on
three
it.
cities at most, but capital planets, the ones are like your original planets, those have a lot of cities because they come from civilization stage.
Yeah.
Other people's home planets also work like that. So you can get a planet that has like 10 cities
Mm-hmm.
instead. And like sometimes those home planets will have a rare spice type. Yesterday I conquered a pink spice home planet.
Mm-hmm.
And like that became a little treasure vault, right?
Yeah.
I get it stores up to 70
Mm-hmm.
loads of spice on one planet with the help of like an extra item. Oh yeah, that's one other thing. When you colonize, you only drop like colonies,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of other colony tools which you can drop to enhance your colony, like a bigger spice depot, because every city adds 5 to the spice capacity of the planet. The spice depot, every city adds 10. So you can see how that like you virtually double the spice capacity of a planet. So I ended with yesterday. I had a system with 3 blue spice planets, all up to T3, all with a depot. They produced 90 things of spice every time I visited them. They were basically filled up again.
Yeah.
So printing money, right?
Yeah.
You can add a satellite defense system
Mm-hmm.
because space pirates,
Mhm.
the Groks, which are like the Borg of the Spore universe, and your enemies will attack your colonies, and they can destroy buildings. They can even take down cities.
Mm-hmm.
They can even conquer your system if you keep not assisting them.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing you can do, you can drop this basically the satellite, and the satellite will just keep it safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very good, especially if you start traveling through wormholes,
Mm-hmm.
because you can travel through wormholes. You can find them at some point. They're never around where you spawn, but if you travel enough, you'll hit a wormhole. You can buy it. You must unlock and buy a device that costs 3 million spore bucks to travel through it, and every wormhole connects to another spot in the galaxy. And the galaxy is the menu when you open the game for the first time, and you can click on a planet and start a new game.
Mm-hmm.
And space mode takes place in this galaxy, which means that your other saved games exist in the same galaxy and you can visit them. And wormholes are usually the way to find them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another very fun thing that you can do, is like if you really zoom out from space state, you keep zooming out. At some point, you just see the galaxy you see when you open the screen. Like you have the whole galaxy, and every single star exists.
And you can explore all kinds of things. You can also like go to the center of the universe. You told me about.
Yeah, that's where the groks are. So it's difficult to move around because like every star that you go to, you'll be like shot at, unless you pull off the crazy feat of getting in good relations with the groks, which is like so hard to do. And like you basically get one shot at it.
Can you destroy them?
Yes, it's one of the final missions. Is like destroying the groks, which like it's difficult. It's also difficult because conquering the groks is rough. Because if you conquer grok systems, now you control systems right next to the groks. So you have incursions every 5 seconds. So you have to drop the planetary security system on every single planet that you steal from the groks, and those things are not cheap. So it's very hard. One of the easiest ways, like one of the less cumbersome ways to do it, paradoxically, is to just like wipe them off the map. Like you don't conquer the city, you bomb them into non-existence, or you just blow up the planets if you can afford it. But that's also very economically a huge burden, so you might as well get the defensive satellite system. Also, it's fun. There is basically the Space Geneva Convention. If you drop nuclear weapons or like planet destroyers or the gravity wave that wipes out all civilization from a planet, you'll get a diplomatic negative with all nearby systems because they're like, you broke galactic code. That's not cool, man. That can mess with your alliances.
And there's a lot of customization. So there's a lot of exploration in this phase. There's a lot of growth that's possible in this phase. There's a lot of fun tools for terraforming planets, not just climatically, but also aesthetically. You can like create a mountain range where you want. You can create valleys where you want. You
can make all
you have all the high cosmic politics, but you also have a lot of customization. Like you can go into the Spore editor and like create different kinds of animals, and it will draw from its standard library, but also from the custom library of animals that you've created to seed to different places. So multiple species that Thea had created showed up during my run in the game. There was like these kind of octopod looking people, except for they were tetrapods, but they looked like octopods in the way that their legs moved. And they showed up in my tribal stage, right? And were one of my enemies in the tribal stage. And some of the megafauna that showed up on my planet was like a big giant furbolg that Thea had made, and there were like some dwarves that showed up at some
that
point.
creature with all the skeleton bits, they were also another tribe that had all their ribs.
It was like Attack on Titans were, and so like one of the fun, enjoyable parts of this game is that every story you play in it leaves a permanent, indelible record, right? And you might, for example, my species, Homo sapiens, Thea encountered in his game yesterday as animals, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's a lot of there's a lot of fun in the customization and the growing. The more you play the game, the more the universe at every stage of the game reflects more closely the things that you've made, your creativity, the things that you've designed, right? You might see a spaceship that you designed fly by in creature stage and steal somebody from your party because at this point you would know they need that animal to stabilize the terraforming they've done on a different colony planet where they're trying to collect spice, right?
Yeah. It's funny, the idea of editing creatures in Space Age. If you progress enough, you unlock like life modifying and life building tools where you can create a brand new creature as a player. Like, I created a life form and now I can use it to seed it, or you can modify creatures so you can like alter a species, which like it doesn't have a big impact on the world. You will get a medal for it, but it's so much fun just to be able to do that. Also, another fun thing, if you travel to the center of the galaxy where the groks are, there's a center to the galaxy, like the massive supermassive black hole at the center. If you touch it, if you get there, you meet God, basically, which is like a little city spaceships with a big megaphone on it that like meets you halfway and like talks to you about like what a great journey, what a great life. And then it gives you 30 charges of basically the touch of God, the seed of God, which is this unique tool that you only get 30 charges of it. But like you go on a planet, you drop it, no questions asked. It goes to like maximum prosperity from wherever you are. Like
it becomes climatically perfect for life and gets seeded with all kinds of different life forms.
Exactly.
In order to stabilize those changes.
Yeah. And that's also like a cool little thing that you get to do. I I really love space stage. Like it feels like it's designed to be played for a very long time.
I mean, I think it's also the main portion of the game, right? Like you literally, if you play Cell Stage for more than like an hour, I don't know what's wrong with you. You know, like I mean, I don't know. At some point, it's stale and it's over. You've accomplished everything that can be accomplished, and yeah, you can eat more things and grow bigger, but it doesn't give you DNA points. It's literally doing nothing. All you're growing is like growing in size, right? And like similarly, all the other stages kind of have hard outs where like by interacting with the game, you make clear progress towards ending the stage
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas like space stage is like the only stage where like there is no real objective to achieve. It's just okay, now
You
you've
made
had
it.
fun, you've learned some game mechanics that are at least reminiscent of what you're going to start playing with here, right? You've built the cultural history and backstory of your planet. You've decided what all your vehicles and spaceships and what your species looks like. And I have to stress also here at this point, the customization is really in depth, right? It's not like Sims 4 customization, it's Sims 3 customization. So you can place objects freeform however you want. You can combine them. Like when you're making a house, right? You don't have to like draw out a grid of a floor plan. You have 3D objects that you literally can cobble together in any way you want and align in any way you want to one another. And you can color them any way you want. Highlights this color, color the non-highlights with this texture that's made of these two colors, right? There's like really in-depth customization. And there's even, as far as I could tell, like a gallery, kind of like on The Sims, where you can download other people's creations.
Yeah. Now
On
the servers are down, I think. I'm pretty sure. But like it used to be that you could you could publish your own creations and get other people's creations and have other people's creations show up in your world. So you could cross-pollinate
yeah.
from other people's galaxies into your version of the galaxy.
And there's just something touching and fun that like my Homo sapiens are going to be a part of Thea's game now forever, right?
forever.
They're always going to be in there somewhere in the background, the ability to interact with them or somehow it's just it. So there's a huge part of this game that highlights your creativity and showcases it and makes it important. That's one thing I think is really beautiful about the game. Another thing I think is really beautiful about the game is how cohesive it manages to be, even though it's covering such disparate topics. It really works hard to make everything kind of connect together. It's all about life in the universe at different stages,
Mhm.
right? And how like mechanics from different stages carry over, and how resources from different stages carry over, and how behavior that goes unexplained in earlier stages is justified by the necessities of gameplay in later stages, right?
Yeah.
And so it feels like it's not the case, but it feels when you're playing Spore in animal stage that there are in creature stage that there are other players who are playing the game currently in space stage. That's why what's happening to your planet is what's happening to
Or
your
at the very
planet.
least, that there are already spacefaring civilizations in the cosmos.
Like one of the ways you can terraform a planet, and which I did quite often, was fly down to a planet and drop a bunch of meteorites on it that heats up the planet, right? Well, when I was in creature stage, there was a meteorite shower, right? At the time, I just assumed, oh, it's a primordial world. Meteorite showers feel like part of the tropes of a primordial world. That's why that's here. In retrospect, I'm like, oh, maybe there was an alien civilization that was trying to terraform my planet to make it hotter, right? So that they could settle more colonies here or something like that. And in the end, that didn't work out for them. And so that's why there weren't any colonies there when I entered civilization stage, you know?
That's a fun. That's fun. The way that I always interpret a meteor shower is they're supposed to be like the meteor shower that opens the game,
Yeah.
which is how your life form gets on the planet. It's like panspermia, big
Yeah.
asteroid hits the planet,
Yeah.
and there's a meteor shower. So for me, that's like, oh, another life form
Mm.
is being seeded on this planet.
Yeah.
Usually when spaceships show up, they're always abducting. They're always here to abduct someone. Sometimes it's someone from your pack, which is very annoying. Sometimes it's someone else random.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember how angry I was when they stole my pet
Mhm.
because in tribe mode, because you didn't encounter any, but there's a type of creature between normal creatures and megafauna in creature mode, which are these kind of like solitary super predator creatures, which
Mhm.
are hostile. They get a huge health buff,
Mhm.
and they tend to be like high level creatures, as in they have big, high attack levels and high socializing level. And they're hard to take down and they're hard to impress. but you only need to take down one or impress one to like complete a mission, and you get a bunch of DNA from that one creature. And if you manage to add that creature to the pack, that's a huge boost. And then creatures that are in your pack in creature mode, when you advance to tribe mode, they become your pets. So I had this like super pet, and then they stole it from me.
Yeah, well, did you ever consider the consequences of what you were doing when you were taking animals from different
When
planets?
I go to a planet with tribes, I don't steal their pets. I bomb the tribes out of the planet, and then I seed my own colonies.
So you would have preferred that?
Yeah. It would have been like
game lost.
Game
Start
lost.
Again.
Yeah. you're Oh, that is so fun. When I encountered my dad's game for the first time, I was like, can I attack him? Can I like bomb his cities? And no, you can't. You can only interact via diplomatic ways with another civilization of another player.
You can only charge them extortionist prices on your spice.
Exact. No, but it's fun to be like, hey, I am allies with my dad's civilization. We're friends now.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then like
it doesn't affect his save though, right?
It doesn't affect his save, except that like when he then logs into the game, like he finds it in front of like his porch house. Now there's a colony from like my empire. It's there.
Yeah.
It's my
That's
empire's colonies are there.
It's all happening locally, right? It all requires players on the same game to be playing with one another.
Yeah, there is. The only thing that you can do online is share creations, not game experiences.
I mean, this game is old. It has very old graphics, but it's also a very goofy game, so that's part of it. It's part of the charm.
It ages well because it's goofy.
Yeah, it's not like trying to be serious. So, yeah. Ultimately, I had a lot of fun playing it. I got all the way to space stage. I brought my monstrous Homo sapiens.
Your beautiful Homo sapiens. At the start of the game, Sari just looks at me like, you know what's going to be my payback? It's not clear to me what payback was meant. Payback for what?
Payback for you being yourself. And all the time, at every chance you get in fantasy where you could do something normal, you have to do something weird and be like, yeah, but wouldn't it be weird if I was like this? I was like, all right, here's my revenge. When I play Spore, I'm going to play Homo sapiens on Earth. I'm going to play the most normal, least creative option I could.
But then as soon as you were presented with the freedom of the creature editor, you're like, no, I'm going to make a submarine-shaped dingus with arms as the middle pair of limbs somehow.
Yeah, so 6 limbs, 3 pairs, and the middle pair became the arms. Yeah. The front and back to stabilize the movement, and then the middle pair, of course, are the ones that can reach around at all angles.
Yeah, my nostalgic game run instead was, as Ceres alluded to earlier, these like octopus-like beings. My proudest like game creation that I actually had to play through and created, like not in the freeform editor, but actually played through, were these like 6-legged bug people. Every leg had a different foot type, which give them a different bonus. Incredibly aggressive. And then they became civilized warmongers with like top hats.
I did that for mine too. So I was like, all right, we're in tribe stage. We're not animals anymore. Come on. So I put a little round hat on our head. And then I was like, oh, well, we're civilized now. In civilization stage, of course, we're not tribes. So I gave him a conical hat. And then once the space stage, now we're truly at the table. Now we're truly civilized. So we got really tall.
Like,
I super exaggerated these stupid top hats that I put on them. So yeah, I like playing with the hats and like making jokes. Each stage thinks it's so superior to the one previous because their hat's a little dorkier. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I got all the way to the space stage. I cheesed the quest system to terraform a colony early and to generate millions of Spore bucks worth of green spice. Then I tried to save the game, and it crashed and deleted everything.
Because this game does not have autosave, which is something that I completely forgot. I completely forgot, but I remember that as a child, I was stressed about it. I had to regularly save my progress, which is interesting. I think that the reason it is like this is like I understand it a bit more now after playing Civilization, especially on harder modes. But like when you're in the real time strategy version of the game, you might get stuck in a situation where you're just like, I'm gonna load my latest save file because this is
impossible.
This is
I've made a mistake that I can't recover from.
Exactly. I'm in a situation where like either I cheat, and you can use cheat codes in this game if you know them. You can open a little console and then like type in the cheat codes to like give yourself money,
just like The Sims.
just like The Sims. Remove complexity boundaries from your creations, or one of the fun things you can change. The game has like 5 different graphics mode where you can give it like a sillier tint, a dark noir tint, and something else. But yeah, it's nothing too interesting. Um, one of the more fun bits is called like Cube World, and like instead of having all these like smooth body parts, all body parts get replaced by like their like bounding box, and so you become this like walking set of cubes and and like boxes, and the body is particularly fun because every vertebra has its own box, so you're like this kind of like set of nested boxes as the vertebra. But yeah, that's why I think it's there. But in other game modes it's completely like useless, especially in space mode. It sucks. And it because we tried to save the entire game for the first time in space mode, I think it just like crashed from the amount of information.
It also froze for a moment as we were exiting a planet just before we did this save, which prompted us to save because we were like, oh yeah, we haven't saved anything. Anyways, you just need a system to like manage the save files as efficiently as
Yeah, no,
possible.
I remember this thing bothering me also when I was playing it in 2008 or 2010, because like the Lego Star Wars was managing automatic save files, so why could why could this not do it? But yeah, any final notes on the game, a little tidbit that you'd like to share, something that you particularly enjoyed, you found fun?
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed the game as a whole. You know, it's kind of like if Lego was a game, this is what the game would be. You know, it's very creative, it's very customizable, and the sort of living save file and the continuous dialogue between the different stages felt to me really cool, right? It felt like a game I might want to pick up. This feels like a Sims game for me because the stakes are not as much like interpersonal relationships, which to me is like just not quite as gripping in normal Sims games. And there's a bit more of like a sense of like progression and growth and like, oh, now you have a cool tool, you could do this with a planet. And now you have a cool tool, you can do this with a planet. Oh my gosh, you can even go through wormhole now, you know?
Yeah.
And that sort of fun exploration tickles me more. So it's interesting because it's like very much the Sims framework of how to make a game, like the Maxis framework of how to make a game, uh, placed over an entirely different set of stakes and objectives, and that makes it much more interesting to me than your average Sim game. So this is fun. I don't know if I can convince Proteus to play it, but if I can, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. This does feel like the Sims game for you,
Mm.
and the Sims game for Proteus is Sims. They're already playing. He's already playing it. Yeah, I remember when you left my place, you physically said, "Yeah, I think this is the Sims game for me."
Yeah.
But yeah. One final bit. One tool that you can use in like the base game to kind of like increase the interaction between different stages is the ability to like deploy a hologram of yourself on the planet, where basically you almost return to creature mode, where like you're back, like with third person view of your creature walking around, except now they're wearing all the clothes you put on them, and they're walking as a hologram, so they're completely safe, and you can descend on any planet. You can go to visit like seas of lava or like frozen asteroids. You can deploy yourself on top of volcanoes and just look down from above.
See the perspective all the animals get when you abduct them.
Yeah, you can go down and then like look up at your own spaceship. You can visit other like civilized planets, walk amongst tribal people or civilizations, and like look at your buildings from
That's
below.
fun that you can like go into the cities and like see
What the
scale is even correct. Like if the doorways are big enough for people to fit through, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really a well thought out game with a lot of love put into it and a lot of thought. And it's a shame that it didn't have more success. It was not very successful in its time. I think today, if the same game was deployed today, where like they're like the idea of like having an online community built around the game is much more established, and we have also just like better graphics and maybe more interests in games like this and more speculative games like this. Maybe there would be a chance, to have a bigger
like you
chance.
need to have the temperament to accept the low-ish difficulty and the goofiness, right, of the game. And like the fun silliness of the game. The silliness is part of the fun of the game.
Yeah, the game is
While at the
silly.
same time, like being interested in like biology and evolution and sci-fi, right? And those kinds of things. And if you bring those characteristics to the table, you're going to have a lot of fun. But I think that that might be somewhat of a niche combination that a lot of the people who really enjoy sci-fi or who are already well served by other genres. And then like how many people are like super nerds for biology, right? I mean, it's
Yeah. This game feels when I received this game, it felt like it was made for me.
yeah.
And like a couple of my nerdy friends played it with me because I
Yeah.
showed it to them, and now you. So like you can string people along it with it, but it's niche. It's still niche.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that'll just about do it for episode 53 of the podcast. Did you have anything you wanted to plug?
Well, first, I plug Spore.
Mhm.
Cool game. Yeah, you can get it on Steam for nothing. You can get the bundle with all of the expansions. One of them is Galactic Adventures, which is also made for me, which is basically expands Spore by adding the ability to design new adventures. Like by literally starting with a planet, molding the planet, adding mountain chains, seas, changing the colors, changing the vegetation style, changing the climate,
Yeah.
and then adding buildings and life and like adding behavior to build to people
You
to
can make your own like adventures and share them.
yeah
I mean, I guess maybe not today, but back in the day, you could share them with people. And that's
yeah
fun.
yeah that was
You
great.
could kind of DM for your
Yeah.
for your other sport players.
Yeah, it could be like, yeah, I made this cool steampunky world, and like you are this, and there's a war going on, or like
Mhm.
you need to retrieve an item from a war zone. So like you have to make your way through it. Maxis also has made a bunch of like standard adventures to show you everything that is possible.
Mhm.
It's always fun to go through it and see them implementing like very creatively the
Mhm.
tools that they gave you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you could use this. You could use this like toxic puddle to be a puddle of blood. Like
Mhm.
there's an adventure where like you're visiting this station where they're all infected
Mhm.
with some disease, and like as you arrive, there's a dead creature. There's like a corpse, which you create by adding a creature to the game,
Mhm.
to the map, and then setting its health to 0, so it instantly dies. And then just added the visual effect of like a toxic pond, made it tiny, and now it looks like it's just there's a puddle of blood. It's just creative stuff like this is very appreciated. And it's also so fun because they reuse so many like assets from the base game. So it's like, oh, you remember the spice deposit building that you can build in the space mode to increase spice
Yeah.
things. That's the asset.
It's all the same assets throughout the whole game. That's part of the thing. It's which is funny because that's also similar to what we talked about with Infinity Blade. Um, that they make so much out of so little,
Yeah.
right? This is something I think that games back in the day just had to be better at as well,
Yeah.
right? But I think it also, like, in Infinity Blade, it's a recycling thing and it's an efficiency thing. But here, I think it also adds to the, um,
Cohesiveness.
exactly. I think it's actually serving a purpose. It's better than if there were all new assets in the next stage.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Other plug, smaller plug
mhm.
is do you know that they made
Bold of you to give out 2 plugs in 1 episode on a day on which we plan to record 3 episodes.
Mhm. Oh, you're right. And you know what? I'm gonna put this back into the magazine, put it back, and like safely put the plug gun back into the plug holster.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Do you have any plugs?
oh yeah, I do actually. I was gonna.
Don't say Infinity Blade.
No, I already plugged it.
You're right. Last week.
Uh, I am going to plug the original. The original is a short story. I don't know if it's technically a short story, but it only takes 3 hours to listen to his audiobook by Brandon Sanderson and Mary Robinette Kowal. I hope that's how her name is pronounced, but just look up the original Brandon Sanderson and you'll find her name too. Um, and it's a really fun and interesting story about a future humanity that feels very human and feels very much like our world. But at the same time, nanite technology has sort of perfected health and made the ability to replicate humans. And so there's the classic sci-fi drama of, if I'm a perfect replicate of somebody else, am I them? Am I someone different? How are we different? How are we the same? Um, Things that I liked about it, I liked the nanite related world building. I really liked the subtle, like the representation that it did. I said subtle, but that's actually the wrong word for it. So it's got a lot of representation of like a world that's clearly much more socially liberal than the world we live in today, especially in regards to like gender expression and stuff like that. And that's
I feel like like what they can do with nanotechnology feels like it'll kind of like make a lot of the older conceptions look even sillier.
yeah. Well, and it was cool because often sci-fi updates the technology of a setting, but doesn't update the culture, so that the culture remains more relatable to us and it becomes more of a metaphor about the present. But I thought it was really cool in what ways they updated the culture here.
The
And
Asimov route.
it serves for representation that is not at all the point of the story, and is, to me, to my mind, my experience, very nicely just hanging out in the background, right? And it's just a little treat, little tidbits you come across where it's like, you know, oh, this person has two dads. Got it. Oh, this dude actually wears a dress, right? And the story doesn't make any big deal about it because it's not really the point of the plot. It's just nice and lovely in there in the background. So I really liked how this book did representation. I liked how this book handled nanites, and I liked that it was short and sweet with a resolution that made you think, right? And like it didn't overstay its welcome at all. It was like a short, simple story in this world. It's not trying to be, your next 25-hour deep dive that, I feel like everything today wants to grab onto your attention and hold on to it forever. This story just wanted to invite you to a new world for 3 hours and then send you on your way.
Unlike Stormlight Archive, which you can agree has overstayed its welcome.
Mhm.
That's what you're saying?
No. Oh, Stormlight Archive. It's a credit to Stormlight Archives. How well it's done that I still enjoy it. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so that's my plug. And with that, that just about does it for episode 53 of the podcast. So if you want more, you can find us on youtube.com/@a-friendly-orbit, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you don't want to leave us a comment there for some reason, but you still want us to receive the information from you, you can send us your astral echoes at friendlyorbit@gmail.com. All one word.
All right, Ceres. I'll talk to you later. And to all of our fellow Voyagers, we'll catch you out there amongst the stars.